Hello and welcome to Gold and Silver Assets. I'm Diora and it's Sunday the 10th of April 2022. And so I've called this one Firing Up for Blast Off. So before we go to the precious metals, we'll start with the US 10-year yield because this is a really important kind of parameter really. So this is on the monthly scale and we've already looked at this before, but we've hit a very important point here. Now this black line is a long-term downsloping trend line going up to, it actually starts beyond this chart here in the early 80s. And so this has been a really good trend line. You can see that it held over here and over here as well. And we've also got the blue line, which is the 200-month moving average. And you can see that we have just poked through that blue line. Now, remember that this is on the monthly scale and the month has only just begun. We've still got a way to go. So that's not a complete candle. And so it could be that, that it's poking above and can get pushed back down again. So we just got to watch that because remember that's an incomplete candle here. Back here it did slightly poke above it. It's kind of a fraction of a percentage point if you zoom in on it. But then it got rejected and came all the way back down here. But we haven't quite reached this trend line over here. And I'd probably say that the trend line is the more important of the two. And right now that touch will come at 2.8%. So that's going to be important to watch. Why is it important? Well, basically, if this goes above and finds support on that line, it's likely to just keep going up, and it means the bond market has broken. That's my interpretation of it. So the big question is, what do you think? Do you think that we're going to start rising right now above those levels, or do you think the can's going to get kicked down the road just like it has done for decades and decades? Do you think it's going to turn around and come back into this area here, anywhere between 0 and 2.8%? My feeling, I think the can's going to get kicked a little bit longer, but we're getting close to the end. I think it could be 6 months, a year, 2 years, who knows? But I just get the feeling that it might get kicked down the road a bit longer, but I don't know for sure. I'm not an expert on bond yields and so on. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear what you think about this. This is a really crucial point, and it's particularly important for the housing market. Okay, next we've got the US dollar index, and so I've zoomed out here. Again, we're looking at it on the monthly scale. And of course, the dollar has been strengthening lately. And so where are the potential resistance points going forwards? And are we going to go much higher? So what I've done here, I cleared the previous lines that we had before. And what I've done here now is to look for overhead resistance. And so here what we've done is join these two lines, and that we have a hit over here as well. So we've got 3 touch points there. And so the touch point comes over here. So we're getting a bit like the 10-year bond, isn't it? We're getting close to it. And remember, this is a very long-term kind of trend line here that we're looking at, over 20 years. Another possibility is if we join these 2 highs here. So it could go a little bit beyond that. That's another potential. I'll probably put that as a second potential here. But I'm thinking this region here because you've got a confluence of resistance. So I've drawn this over here just because that was a previous resistance back here and over here as well. So just kind of to me looks like we're getting pretty close to an important point here, let's say. Now, there are a couple of possibilities. I mean, of course, that could be the top, and certainly the RSI is getting towards the kind of overstretched area. It's not there yet, though. So if that is a significant resistance, then we could be kind of going back down here, in which case what we've got is a long-term sideways movement here, sideways pattern. If we get above these levels, then we're looking at much, much higher levels in terms of the dollar. And of course, that's going to be a big problem for emerging markets, emerging market currencies and so on as well. So, yeah, again, what do you think there? My thoughts is I think it's going to come here and then come back down again and stay within this sideways range for a little bit longer. And just looking more closely, so this is on the daily scale. So another reason for thinking that, can you see this candle here where we've got a tiny little body and a long upper wick here? So if we get follow through with a red candle closing below that, then we'd be looking at a kind of at least a short-term down move. And the other important thing here to note, so these are those lines that I showed you in the above chart. So that shows you how close we are. So potentially, I mean, it could still, these kinds of, candle signals aren't hugely reliable. So, it just gives you maybe slightly clues, I guess, but it's not, don't take it as being dead certain. So we could move up a little bit further. The potential is there. And so down here, what I've done is done the correlation coefficient between the US dollar index and the gold price. And we've been talking for the last month or so about how this has been positively correlated. And so that means both gold and the US dollar index were going up at the same time. But you can see that that's cooled off lately and it's kind of gone into neutral. And I reckon it will go back into negative territory. With the US dollar index, it spends most of its time negatively correlated with gold, but you do get short times where it is positively correlated. So, yeah, I'm thinking this is going to become negatively correlated. And so if that's the case and you want gold to go up, then really we do need this to turn around. Okay. Moving on to the gold price. So this is gold in US dollars on the daily scale. And last time we spoke about how the Fibonacci retracement levels that we were looking at had been hit. And I think that's it for that correction. I think we're going to get some kind of turnaround from here. So I reckon that this is a short-term bottom over here. We've got nice long wicks over here, so these prices were rejected very quickly and price moved back up, and you don't have such long wicks above here. And so yeah, I think, and even just if you stand back and look, 1920 seems to kind of have formed a kind of shelf there, doesn't it, really? And that kind of, I mean, it's not exact here, but it kind of fits with this here, which was where resistance has turned into support. And if you look further back, you'll see something similar there. So I still think this is going up from here. Whether we go have a little bit more toing and froing before we do that, or whether next week we go up, that's the kind of move that I'm thinking going forwards here. So as I keep saying, I'm still bullish. And I thought it was quite interesting when you look at sentiment, because remember when we were back at these kinds of levels back here, obviously it's off the chart here, but yeah, when we hit those levels, remember the kind of frenzy, there's extremely positive sentiment, people were excited. This time, not really much excitement. It was almost more of a feeling of disbelief, people just didn't want to believe that price could just move up from here, basically. And I kind of feeling that negative sentiment still, there's still quite a lot of bearishness out there. And so to me, that's another positive sign for this going up, when there's a lot of people saying, oh, gold's going to go down, that's when I kind of start to look at it a bit more and think it's going to go up. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking, but Hey, could be wrong, but yeah, sentiment is low, and I mean, even my channel. I mean, I think my subscriber numbers haven't budged for at least 6 months, so it shows how popular gold and silver are at the moment. Okay, silver. Now, silver, as I said, is a bit complicated to analyze. I find it quite tricky. But we'll have a look at silver price in US dollars on the daily scale. And again, with silver, it was just short of the Fibonacci level over here. So is that enough to say that that's going to be the bottom? I mean, it is a pretty long wick there, isn't it? So it was a strong rejection. What I'm looking at now is I've drawn this trend line here, and we're just at that trend line there. Price did bounce off of it. And so we need, if you're going to be bullish, we need to break that trend line. Now, I actually think it is going to break. Now, you might ask, well, why is that? What evidence have I got to suggest that? Of course, I don't know for sure, but there's a few things that you can look at. And so one of them is to look at silver priced in other currencies and see how that's doing. And so last time we've looked at silver priced in New Zealand dollars, and we've had a couple of patterns. So one is this massive descending triangle where we had a breakout over here, and we were talking about how price is quite common for the breakout to occur and you get a retest. And we did have a retest of this downsloping line. And last time I'd drawn a new trend line which joined these two. And interestingly, it came close. It just fell short of it, but bounced off of it. So we've had 3 trading days where it's kind of looks like it's turned direction. The other thing, I haven't drawn it on here, but if you join these, you also get a breakout as well. And of course, you've got this big picture pattern, which the breakout has confirmed is a bullish pattern. So yeah, those are my reasons for being bullish. Of course, remember, it's all a probability thing. This is just looking at probabilities, not certainties. So of course, lots of different things can happen. Yes, we can come back all the way down here, but I think it's, for me, my subjective assessment is that that's a low probability. So I think we're going to kind of be going up from here. And another one, this is another currency, silver priced in British pound. And again, so I've drawn the same kind of trend line here. This was pretty good actually, because we've had 3 touches here, one over here as well, and we broke out there. But not only that, can you see it retested that line and then moved up off of it? So to me, these are all potential clues. They're not 100%, but yeah, these are the kinds of things I try and look at, to try and look at things from different angles there. Okay, now gold miners. Gold miners have been pretty strong, haven't they? And we're back up here at the moment, close to 40. And you can see that area was a resistance level back over here. And so we're kind of retesting that level. So the question is, where do we go from here? So we had this strong move up over here, and we broke out from this long-term trend line. Have we had a retest of that trend line? Well, I mean, I guess it did faff around here for a little while. Does that count? So I think that's one question that we have to ask is, do we think this is going to be tested again? I don't think, I'm doubtful that it will, but we have to keep that in our minds as a possibility. So if that were to be retested, we're looking at around the high 33s level for that. But personally, what I'm thinking is, look, we've got this move up here. This kind of looks like a flag. And then that. So to me, that looks like a flag on a pole pattern, which suggests a target up here. So in order for that to confirm, I think we need to see a break and close above 40. So we want to see something like this and then moving on upwards. Okay, and finally we have silver, which is looking pretty similar, isn't it? So again, we've got what appears to be this kind of pole. We've got this consolidation, which does seem to be in this triangular pattern over here. And so we need a break, ideally above 15, but obviously it will be confirmed a bit below that because you've got this slope here. But again, you know, if you've got this and the flagpole, we're looking at a target of around 920, I think, something like that, to go like that. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Now I know all of this sounds quite bullish, and you know, I'm talking about things firing up for blast off. But you know, obviously not a lot of people agree with that. There's a lot of bearishness as well, but I've told you my reasons why I'm not bearish, and let's see what happens really. Yeah, I think next week potentially we could see some interesting moves, and we'll know. Obviously, if we break below here, then yeah, we're going to be headed back down again, which would be a real pain, won't it? But yeah, I'm thinking more up here. Right, that's it from me for this week. All the best and see you next week. Bye.